I've decided this is going to be the first part of the video. I've already watched all of it and taken in most of it and made a response to most of it, but I don't want to go over that 10-minute limit and have to make like 3 separate videos because that pisses me the hell off, and I think I've probably gone on for too long about something that isn't really important at all. So enjoy, if you can call it that. Alright, now this is probably going to be one of the very few real responses to this video, but you bring up some really interesting points. As far as the it's not gonna be okay thing, I think we all really know that to a certain degree. I mean, it's just that it takes less effort to ignore it. And a lot of people seem to be very inclined to be lazy. You know, after a while, like you said, at what point does everything become okay? You know, at what point does everything become not okay? I mean, is at the point where you realize you're broke? Is it the point where you realize all this shit's happening to you and your life sucks? I mean, at that point, yeah, you have a valid reason to be sad, but I mean, it's not required. I mean, it's kind of like the difference between being religious and then being ignorant about death, or being an atheist like yourself and I, and being aware that death is the end. I mean, most people would be goddamn afraid of that. Most people would be sad about that. Think, well, that's the end. That's where I drop off the map. But I mean, is that not okay? I mean, you've come to peace with that. You're fine with that. What makes the difference between death and just having a shitty life? It's not inherently required to be sad about things. It just, you can be. Alright, I just continued the video bit, and, you know, I heard your thing about, you know, just is it the point where you just snap that everything becomes okay? And, you know, I know I said the opposite, the exact opposite, just a minute ago, and exactly what you just described as, but I mean, you're making me think, obviously, you know, God forbid that, but, you know, I'd rather not be okay as well. I mean, and just kind of like making yourself, like, if you're okay with having all this trivial shit happen to you your entire life, you know, that's just being passive, that's just being almost ignorant of yourself. It's just letting yourself be taken advantage of all the time. It's kind of like not questioning something when it comes along, you know. Which in of itself, in a way, could actually be just as harmful as knowing about it all the time and being depressed about it, really, if you think about it that way. I agree with you on that. I'd rather not be okay. Not be okay at all. Yeah. Yeah. I ran off and nowhere again. Just a minute. No, you lost me. Alright, the second part, or third part, or I'm not really counting, but the thing about relationships, and how the more you get to know someone, and the longer you get to know someone, the more annoying they become, and therefore you can't really hold a relationship with someone, and it just goes to the point of really tolerating them, and so there's no point in really beginning. And, you know, I get that a lot too. I've been single for the past, like, year and a half, and no shortage of opportunities, really, but, you know, and this goes with the whole creating social personas things. I mean, I've created a persona for myself. I mean, most of my friends and most of the people who know me at all, well, I guess they really don't know me in that case, but the people who I kind of know, they think I'm a really nice, well-meaning, polite guy. And you know what? It would delight me nothing more than to just punch half of them right in the face. They don't know that, though. And you know what? Half the girls who wanted to go out with me, if they knew that, they probably wouldn't. And, you know, they'd kind of have to tolerate me. But, you know, we are so conditioned by everything. By our schools, by our media, by each other. We are so obsessed with being the same. I mean, My doctor thought I was weird, and so now I have pills for it. Adderall. Amphetamine XR, 20 milligrams. Yeah, they prescribed me amphetamine for ADHD. Or, no, ADD. You know, but I mean, at the same time that we're telling each other to be unique, to be ourselves, at the same time we're getting this mixed message from the figures of authority that we so trust that we should be the same. And so much so that people will fake their personality just to get with other people. And so coming to know each other, that probably forces a lot of people to really live more within themselves than with other people. And you know, when they really try to connect with other people, it doesn't work. It really doesn't. Because all those little ugly details that they never knew about you through that persona that you created for yourself come through. And so it's pretty much like blind dating. You know? Blind dating on a different level, actually. That's a good way to put it. But it's, you know, the days we live in, it's pretty much luck of the draw. Funny. What?
Chunk of meat, that's all that cow is. And you look at that, does that make you more self-aware, or does that make you less self-aware? Do you actually start to lose yourself in there? And maybe as you lose your delusions about yourself, in a way you actually, as you diminish your identity, you somehow actually attain a greater level of self-awareness, since that identity was a delusion to begin with.
Alright, this is my favorite part of your video, by the way. You know, I was gonna say earlier that, the identity that I made for myself is actually the one that I really live through. And what I am now, kind of on the internet, talking to presumably what I'm thinking is only myself, and anybody who watches is probably never going to have an effect on my life, so I don't really care. But, you know, I noticed something. You know that stereotype that people have, that really weird kid with no friends? You know what? Maybe because that kid had no friends to begin with, he never established an identity that would make him likable. You know, because that kid spends, most of his time with himself. And so the person who he would know best really is himself, and he's probably just weird anyways. Hell, if everybody grew up in their own separate little cell with nothing to talk to but themselves, they'd all be weird. I mean, I'm most likely a sum of everybody I've met, with very little of myself involved, really. And you know what? If I'm watching myself so much, and I start to kind of like peel away the layers of who I've made myself into, you know, to a certain degree that will never really get me to be who I really, really am. Because everything I see, everything I think is coming through a scope of my experiences. Ever since you're a baby, you pick up these little things of how to think, how to act, how to function in society. And you know, those things, they come back. They come back even when I'm watching myself and thinking. I don't know I'm thinking because of these things, but that's where they come from. And you know, it's kind of like permanent damage to your personality in a way, because there's no way you can revert yourself back to childhood and build up another identity that is really you upon that without some kind of crazy drugs. But I don't know, I lost myself. Maybe it's because I haven't been taking these enough. Yeah, it's that. I'm sort of thinking of something else now.